and continue to push towards Poland.
Thank you very much. Gautam, Daniel, please stay with us. We have some global reactions pouring in. The Trump-Putin summit in Alaska has drawn sharp and diverse reactions from across the world, from London to New Delhi and Kyiv. Foreign media outlets have framed the meeting in starkly different ways, some saying Putin stole the spotlight, others warning of damaging consequences for Ukraine and even India. British outlets struck a critical tone, focusing on how the summit dented Donald Trump's image as a self-proclaimed deal-maker. Commentators noted that Trump, who they said often touts himself as both a peacemaker and a deal-maker, appeared to leave Alaska with neither achievement in hand. The lack of concrete outcomes raised questions about whether he would follow through on his repeated threats to impose new sanctions on Russia. At the same time, British reporting highlighted that Vladimir Putin gained a valuable moment in the global spotlight, while the war in Ukraine exposed a persistent gulf between the two leaders. They also reported that from Kyiv's perspective, UK media suggested that there was a sigh of relief that no territorial concessions were made, though concern lingered after Putin's emphasis on addressing root causes of the war as a precondition for peace. On the other hand, US news coverage painted the summit as politically damaging for Trump. According to Fox's White House correspondent, Jackie Heinrich, Putin steamrolled Trump, dominating the narrative and achieving the symbolic victory of a photo opportunity alongside the US president. Despite some commentary that Trump might have had a home vantage in Alaska, Fox analysts concluded the optics suggested otherwise. The perception, they said, was that Trump left the meeting weakened rather than strengthened. In Ukraine, coverage was sharply critical. The Kyiv Independent described the summit as sickening, shameful, useless. Commentators argued that while Putin was welcomed in Alaska, his forces continued to strike Ukrainian cities. The contrast with earlier meetings also drew attention. 6 months ago, Trump had taken a tough line with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington, while in Alaska, Putin received a far warmer reception. Meanwhile, Indian reporting largely focused on the economic dimensions of Trump's statements. Indian outlets emphasized that Trump had recently threatened a 50% tariff on Indian imports, citing New Delhi's trade in Russian oil. While Trump ruled out immediate penalties on China for similar purchases, India was left staring at the prospect of steep tariffs, making the summit highly relevant to its economic interests. We are once again joined by Gautam Mukherjee and Daniel Boardman. Gautam, I wanted to come to you first. From an Indian perspective, what are your thoughts on the fact that Donald Trump said that he was not going to consider now placing those tariffs on China like he said he was going to for consequence of buying Russian oil? However, India remained unmentioned in removing these tariffs. What is your analysis, Gautam?
I think India has decided to take steps without worrying too much about the US tariffs, which have every possibility of rising even higher than the 50% already imposed, 25 plus 25. The war, as I said, is on its way to a close. It may take some time because the Europeans, the NATO powers, are amplifying the Ukrainian position, which is that they want no loss of territory. However, the Americans, who fund NATO in the main, provide most of the armaments, even if they do pay for them, is convinced with the Russian position that there has to be a certain amount of territory.
I apologize there. I believe we have lost Gautam's internet. Apologies. Hopefully there's some network issues there. Well, unfortunately, that is all that we have time for anyway. I want to say thank you to our guests, Daniel Boardman and Daniel Mukherjee, for joining us here on the programme. And we will, of course, continue to bring you more news updates from around the world. Thank you for joining us.